Here are the top 6 rides that will make you sick at Universal Orlando Resort. Hey, what's going on everybody? Rick here at Universal Studios and Universal's Islands of Adventure to give you a heads up on a few rides that after you get off of, it might feel a little ill. And at the end of the video, we'll give you a couple ideas of how to maybe prevent motion sickness or at least recover from it. And this list will be in escalating order. So when we get to number 1, watch out. But we are going to start with item number 6, which is located in Hogsmeade at Islands of Adventure. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure barely made the list. And it made the list because of one feature, one segment of this roller coaster. There's a segment where you go by the Weasley's car and then up a spire. Now you're gonna fall down that spire, and when you do, there's going to be a reverse launch, and it goes around a curve into the Devil's Snare. Now the combination of going backwards and being launched, and with that hard banking turn, gets me every time. I've got to recover a little bit in the Devil's Snare before I can actually continue on. So luckily, there's a little bit of a break there in the Devil's Snare. Now, like with all the rides on this list, your results may vary. For me, I get a little queasy at that point. But let me tell you a story about a guy I know, Nikki's father, in fact. He went on Hagrids for the first time, and he's not really a roller coaster kind of guy, and his results were throwing up 7 times. He got off the ride, he threw up 3 times here in the park, and then 4 more times once he got home. So, for me, just a little queasiness. For him, severe vomiting. Hopefully for you, it's neither of those two, but I hope it's queasy versus vomiting. Now let me tell you a little more about Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, and you can see if any of these features may bother you with motion sickness. It has 7 launches. Like I said, one of those is backwards. That is the one that gets me. It has a drop track. Now the thing about this roller coaster though, it does not go upside down. There are no inversions. So if you're someone who is bothered by going upside down, you do not have to worry about it with this coaster. Number 5 on today's list is located over here at Universal Studios, Florida. We are talking about Despicable Me Minion Mayhem causing you potentially some motion sickness. It is theater type seating, but the seats do move and jostlate some, and the on-screen action is crazy and intense. It's Minions after all. They're up to some craziness on screen, combined with the jostling of the seats may cause some motion sickness, though it's not as bad as it used to be. It used to be a 3D attraction, and that had higher potential for motion sickness. It's decreased somewhat now that it's just 2D, but it still remains. But I would like to point out, this attraction does have some stationary seating, so if you choose to, you cannot be jostled around while you're watching the crazy action on the screen. That might help a bit. So I mentioned Minion Mayhem specifically, but I do have a warning for screen rides in general. For example, you got to be careful the way you're stacking up your rides. I did a video once where it was all screen rides, so that's all I did with screen rides. If you back those up too close together, they could add up to some motion sickness. For example, if you do Minions and then your next attraction is Race Through New York, and then after that you go to Transformers, those 3 might add up. So while Transformers is not on my list of rides that make you sick, after doing those 3 in a row, you might be sick after stepping off of Transformers. So just be careful as to how you stack those screen rides. Item number 4 on today's list of rides that may give you some motion sickness is located in Islands of Adventure at Marvel Superhero Island. And no, it is not the Incredible Hulk roller coaster. Unless you are someone who is bothered by going upside down, then yes, this should be on your list of rides that make you sick because it has 7 inversions. But for me, it's the spinning that really gets to me. That's why Storm Force is number 4 on my list of rides that make you sick. As you can see, Storm Force is very similar to the Mad Tea Party over at Disney's Magic Kingdom, the teacup ride. Although I think at Universal, they ratchet up the speed just a bit. Always a little more extreme here at Universal. but this ride will vary as far as how sick it can get you or not get you. Its natural motion will do something to you, but each ride vehicle has a mechanism for you to spin it, and it all depends on your co-rider, mom and dad perhaps, as to how crazy this baby will spin. Maybe you've got an extreme mom or dad who's going to spin you crazily and get you a little more dizzy and perhaps upset that stomach. Or maybe you have a more nice and passive spouse or parent and they're going to take it easy on you. Either way, for me, the spinniness, it does bother me a bit. But like I said moments ago, if you're someone who is more bothered by loop-de-loops, you may want to put the Hulk in this spot instead of Storm Force. But for me, the spinniness, yeah, Storm Force is number 4 on the list. The newest roller coaster here at Universal Orlando Resort, the Jurassic World Velocicoaster, did not make the list of rides that will make you sick. It is the fastest ride in the park, and it does have some crazy roller coaster maneuvers, but it does not make me sick, but it does make me woozy. Getting off this ride, I'm a little dizzy.
Subscribe!
Item number 3 is at Universal Studios, and it is Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. Let's be honest, a lot of people get sick to their stomach just watching the ride vehicle climb up this 90-degree angle to the top of the hill. So a couple things about this attraction that bother me as far as creating some sickness would be, number 1, the shakiness of the ride is pretty shaky. It's a pretty rough ride now. I think it is due for some refurb to kind of help smooth it out, but the shakiness kind of upsets my stomach. And speaking of stomach, I have a larger, rounder stomach, and the lap bar is one that's such that it presses against my stomach to begin with, and then certain parts of the ride that pressure increases. The shakiness combined with the pressure on my stomach is what contributes to me having motion sickness with this attraction. Now, if you're someone who's in shape with six-pack abs, you may not have an issue with that, but I do. It's true, it's true. But I tell you what, no matter what, here's what I want you to do. In the comment section below, you let me know your favorite song to listen to on Rip Ride Rocket. Maybe it helps with your motion sickness. Item number 2 on today's list of rides to make you sick, located here in Springfield. Specifically in the Krusty Land section of Universal Studios, Florida. And that ride would be the Simpsons Ride. This is a 2D attraction, not even 3D, but the ride vehicles do oscillate and jostle you around. All of them do. There are not any stationary vehicles in this attraction, so you can't choose that option. They all move you around, and that combined with the crazy on-screen adventures of The Simpsons. And I mean, there are some crazy scenes that happen on the screen. Combining that screen action with the jostling of the ride vehicle. And there's also smells on this ride too. They also have smells that can be a contributing factor. But all that adds up to some motion sickness, including myself, though I have been getting better with this ride. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to. So if it's bothered you in the past, there's hope. Maybe you'll get used to it. Maybe it won't bother you as much the next time you're on it. And now, number 1 on the list, and it may be number 1 in your hearts, but it is not number 1 in your stomachs. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, the ride that will most likely get you sick here at Universal Orlando Resort. So here's the thing with this ride. It has a very unique ride system, a robotic arm. And that robotic arm swings and sways a lot. You'll be swinging and swaying all through this attraction. And then when you combine the on-screen visuals, it's a double whammy. For me, when it comes to riding Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, I can make it almost halfway through. About the halfway point, I do have to close my eyes and concentrate on not throwing up. It's quite the task. And it's not just the on-screen visuals. Like I said, for me, the swinging and the swing alone bothers me, but then when you combine it with some of the on-screen visuals, it's a double whammy. I'm not even saved by closing my eyes for the on-screen and opening them up for the practical effects. It all bothers me. It's all an exercise in trying not to throw up for me. And it's not getting any better with time. The last time I went on this Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey was a couple weeks ago, and it was the worst ever. So unlike the Simpsons ride, which over time I think I built up a tolerance to, Forbidden Journey as bad as ever. Now here's something to remember. Just because you may want to skip out on the ride because it makes you sick, do not skip out on the queue. Walking through Hogwarts Castle is amazing, and you can just walk through it without getting on the ride. So don't just skip out on the whole attraction because of the ride making you sick. And now, I believe I did promise you some tips or tricks to help deal with motion sickness. Beforehand, you can have motion sickness pills. I use Dramamine. In the comment section below, if you have another preferred pill or motion sickness pill, let us know in the comment section below. Also, there's the motion sickness patches. A lot of people use those. And then the thing I just found out about, motion sickness wristbands. I ran into a viewer who was using those. She said those were working good for her. I will leave an affiliate link to those in the description box. And then of course, you can try beforehand or after ginger chewies or ginger drops. You can have those throughout the day, or if you get off a ride and you find yourself feeling a little sick, pop in a ginger drop or a ginger chewy. Those seem to help a lot. And if any of this sounded familiar, I did do a version of this back in 2020, but that was back in the days when you had to wear a mask. I could do today's version without wearing a mask, and that made it better. Anyway guys, don't miss the magic, don't miss the fun, don't get sick when visiting. Click that subscribe button.